stage, I'm hoping that you have a really good ability to maintain your strength and contraction of your transverse abdominis in a couple of different positions, particularly on all fours and on your back. Today, the demand increases in two different ways. One, we add different planes of movement, and two, it's more dynamic, meaning you'll go from one movement to another movement without having to relax and re-engage. Now, if you need to take breaks within this, please do so. Similarly, if you feel like you need to go back and really work on level 2, please do that. This is the next step up, so it's going to be challenging. I don't want you to cheat any of your reps. Now, with our first movement, you'll start on your back. This is a place that you've been before. Now, in level 2, we practice lifting one leg up and down. Now, I want you to take a moment to remember that what this movement is hip flexion. So, that being said, you may feel your hip flexors wanting to work. When that happens, oftentimes it will pull on your low back a little bit if you're using your psoas. That's not what we want. So I don't want you to feel this in your back at all. Now, that being said, if we can keep our spine neutral and not locked out, so we're not pressing the back down into the ground, we're maintaining a neutral spine. You'll feel a slight space between your low back and the ground. So this is hip flexion. I want you to remember that your hip is a ball and socket joint, so really all that's happening is that that ball is moving in the socket here. You're not arching through your low back and your pelvis is not moving. Now, when we overuse psoas, it's going to pull on your low back, and you may feel pain or discomfort in your low back, in which case I want you to make your lifts a little bit smaller and a little bit more diligent. I also encourage you to maybe go back to level 2 if you're there. Now, if you're feeling a lot of pain right in the front of your hips, again, make the movement a little smaller, focus on engaging your abs a little more, and if that still doesn't help, you go back to level 2. Okay. Let's set this up. This time, we're going to go from one leg lifting to the other, right into it. The thing I want you to think about, of course, is maintaining that deep abdominal contraction. But I want you to take a moment before we even start to just see where your weight is in your pelvis. And we don't want our weight shifting side to side too much, okay? So take your big breath in. Exhale, pull your belly to your spine. One leg comes up off of the floor, and it comes back down. Now, other side without losing this ab engagement. Exhale and lift. Inhale and lower. Exhale and lift. Inhale and lower. You can always have your hands on your tummy to monitor what's going on. You should feel like your ribs are not flaring super wide. Nothing is moving other than that ball and socket of the hip. You're slowly lowering. Again, not shifting your weight side to side too much. That's the challenge here. But we still have 6 more. If you need to take a break and relax and re-engage, you most certainly may. Your head and your neck are really relaxed here. Good. 5 more on each side. Remember to exhale and use that breath to really engage. You're inhaling as well, so we're not breath holding, and we're not just exhaling, exhaling, exhaling. Great. 3 more on each side. Again, you're not feeling this in your back, you're not feeling this in your hips, you are feeling it in your low belly. Belly's not bulging, it's staying pulled in. If you were to feel right inside that bony prominence of your pelvis, it's tense and pulling in, not pushing out. 1 more on each side here. Great. Okay. Now, next step is that we're going to let our knees start to fall out ever so slightly. Here's where your tendency is going to want to be to let your pelvis rock side to side. I do not want that to happen. So the very first step, we're going to re-engage with each rep. So take your big breath in, exhale, engage. Keep that engagement, take another breath in, and as you exhale, Inhale, leg comes out to the side and pulls back in. Exhale, let it come out. Inhale, pull it back in. Relax, re-engage. Exhale, engage. And as you exhale, it comes out. Inhale, that leg comes back in. Don't let your weight shift side to side. Re-engage. Exhale, let it come out and in. Exhale. And if you're feeling wobbly, you can always decrease that range of motion. It doesn't have to be very big. Good. Exhale. Let that leg come out. Lots of control here. Inhaling back to center. One more on each side. So the deeper you engage, the more you really feel that pelvis stabilize. Exhale. Leg comes out. And back in. Good. Now you can stay with that, or if you want to increase your challenge, we're going to keep core engaged, and we're going to go side to side. 5 reps on each side. So go ahead and find that engagement. Hands on your pelvis to make sure it doesn't shift. It comes out to the side and back in. I like to exhale as my leg comes out. You may notice that you have a little bit more success if you exhale as your knee comes in. So try both. Again, I do not want you feeling this in your back at all. If you are, make your movement a little smaller. Make sure you're breathing. Great work, team. We've got 2 more on each side. So much control here. Almost there. Great. Good. And let your belly relax. Okay. Now, we're coming all the way over to all fours. Last week, you saw arm lifts. This week, you're going to see leg lifts. So, find your nice neutral spine, and imagine that something's sitting on the small of your back. So we're not shifting side to side here. Keep belly pulled in super tight, and left leg is going to come back behind you. Now, you could be here, or if you want a little bit more, you can lift that leg. But what I don't want is an arch in the low back, okay? So spread your fingers wide, pull your belly to your spine, look out in front of your fingers, and extend that leg back. And bring it back in to start. We're going to stay on this side. Exhale, take it out. Inhale, bring it in. Exhale, take it out. So yes, we'll feel your glute engaged, but I want you focusing on your core more than anything. Keeping still through your low back. Keeping your waist narrow. We've got 5 more. Good. Three more here. You can point or flex your glute, whatever feels better to you. Again, I'm not worried about the glute, I'm worried about the core more. And one last time. Make sure you're not shifting all your weight over to that right leg. So we've got equal weight bearing between left hand and right leg. Good. If you need to do a little rock mat to stretch it out, you most certainly may. We're going to the right side. So spread your fingers wide. And now the right leg will go back. Again, our tendency might be to shift all of our weight over onto this left side. So imagine that your hip was up against a wall so you couldn't shift over toward that left side. All right, belly in. Exhale and lift out. Inhale down. Now, you may notice that one side feels a little less stable than the other. Totally fine. Belly is in oh so tight. Here we go. Here's 2. Try not to shift that way over to the left. One last time. Great. Now, we're going to repeat that, coming onto your back. Again, alternating leg lifts are next, okay? So find your neutral spine, take a couple of rocks. Find that engagement with your exhale. Now, again, exhale and lift up. Inhale, lower down. Other side. If you want to have hands on your pelvis to monitor its position, you may. Low belly is not pushing out. Awesome. We're nearly there. This is round 2. You're just seeing these movements 2 times. If you feel like you start to compensate, or you feel it in your back, or you feel your belly starting to bulge, take a break, re-engage, and join us again. So the reps don't necessarily have to be consecutive. Now what I will say is this. In order to progress to the next round, you're going to need to be able to do 10 on each side consecutively without losing your ab engagement and without cheating. Make sure your head and neck are relaxed. Use the breath to your advantage. We have 4 more on each side. Nice work. 2 more each side. Here we go. Last one on each side. And let it go. Now, if you want to rock side to side, you may. Okay. Again, you've seen this before. This time I'm going to coach it in more of a demand way. Now, if you want to go super slow and re-engage between each, great. But your ultimate goal is to be able to keep belly in, and you can do 10 each direction fallouts. This is harder, in my opinion, than the last one. So you do what you need to do. Take the breaks you need. Again, your goal will be 10 each side consecutively, alternating before you move to the next round. So let's take our breath in. Pull belly into spine with your exhale. Next exhale, one leg comes out. Inhale back to center. Other side. Now with this, your goal isn't to make it huge. It's to keep your pelvis so still. So this is not about range of motion. In fact, if you make your range of motion bigger, chances are you're going to cheat. And you might feel your back moving. That's not the goal. The goal is to be able to stabilize that pelvis in this plane. Nice work. Low back is staying out of it. 4 more on each side if you're with me. And again, you need to rest, you rest. You can work up to this. 3 more on each side. Make sure your upper back and neck are relaxed. Great, 2 more here. One more on each side. Once again, we're on all fours. This is where we'll finish this round. Now, today I want you to just try alternating your sides. This is, again, increased demand because your body's going to want to shift back and forth. Keep it neutral. If you find that you can't keep your low back neutral, then just do one side and then the other, okay? Gradually working up to alternating. Let your belly go for a moment. Exhale and engage. Left leg goes back as you exhale. Inhale, bring it back to center. Exhale, other side. Back to center. Small movements. Exhale, lift again. Again, your leg doesn't have to lift the group. Excuse me, your foot doesn't have to leave the ground. You can always be here as a starting point. Really hard to not shift weight. I feel that big time, that my tendency is to want to shift, particularly when my left leg comes up. So that's kind of a sign, excuse me, as my right leg comes up, that's a sign that the right side of my low back is just a little unstable, and that's okay. This will help to address that. One breath, one movement. Exhale, lift. It's slow. Don't dump your weight into that supporting leg. 5 more each side. And as always, break as you need it. If you're losing your engagement, if you're starting to feel unstable, or you're starting to cheat, you stop and you restart. Excellent. We've got 3 more on each side. So much control here as we finish off. Nicely done. Last one right here. Minimize that weight shift. And again, you need a rock back. You most certainly can take it in child's pose, even a wrist stretch. It's a lot of time that we spent on our hands. Now, again, I want you to be able to link all of those movements together. 10 on each side, 20 reps. That is a lot. So if you couldn't do that today on your first try, no big deal. You work up to it so that you can alternate, get those reps done, do a set of 10 without losing your engagement and without moving, and then you're ready to go to level.